The entire world is listening?
Yeah, I think we're live now.
Okay, that's pretty exciting. So, good evening, Thrones fans. Coming to you live, a very special edition of the Fox and Victor Show from an entirely digital space somehow. Apparently, you can play Thrones on the internet.
It's really scary what they can do nowadays. So we've got the final of the fall season of the Champions of Westeros League, and it's just starting here. And for the final, we have the two finalists, Jannis Roepert from Germany, playing Martell Stag. And we've got the Swedish second player here in Jakob Wåleman, playing Greyjoy Reigns.
So one of Sweden's very finest Jakobs against the Iron Prince himself.
Yeah, well, we're all named Jakob, it seems, in the Thrones community in Sweden. We've got a cheeky setup from Jakob with only one big character and nothing to guard him. And
Is
then,
he trying to bait the march early so he doesn't have to put up with it later?
I don't know, but he didn't get it because Jannis flipped counting cuppas instead. Jannis got a really good setup, I think. He got Econ in Dornish fiefdoms, and he's got the table out already. And he's got a bastard daughter with a green blood. I guess the green blood isn't what you really want to set up, but
well, it's not optimal, but he's got the full 8 gold, and the bastard daughter is annoying and powers his game plan.
It is. And, well, there is a copy of Flea Bottom in that deck, in Jannis's deck, so he will be able to recur the green blood eventually. So Jakob is going first here, and he's
just raining down massive characters.
Right. So we get the reader, obviously, some Econ. All right. And he destroys the table. That's a priority, I suppose, because he can't have Jannis being able to keep up with him in power level. I think, having looked a little bit at the decks, I think that Jakob has to win pretty fast. He has to be rushing out of the gates here, isn't he?
It seems quite similar to the deck we were commentating in the final of Roepert.
It's very close to it. I know that Jakob has been tinkering with other versions of Greyjoy right now, but this is quite close to what we saw from him playing in Roepert as well. Him and Jakob Hultman, they were both playing a version of this deck. This is slightly different, but it's quite close.
I suppose in some ways that puts him at a peculiar position in terms of fighting for dominance, because he's reliant on the large characters who all need to swing across the challenges.
Yep.
So then him actually having somebody left over to properly contend dominance is actually tricky enough.
It will be. I think Jannis got a duped Iron Throne there, which will help him along as it goes. But he's only got one more copy of the painted table in his deck, so he's going to have to find that if he wants to have the dominance win. But then also he could just attrition Jakob, I think, because he does have better econ and he does have so many resets in that deck.
Yeah, it's kind of scary to see the guys relatively exposed in terms of characters.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose Balon got his dupe on.
Yep, he does, but that won't save him against Valar Dohaeris, and it will only save him once against a lot of the other resets in Jannis' deck.
And that's been unfortunate to actually see the put to the torch go already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we do not so, but you meant what I knew.
Yeah, I heard what I thought I heard, and so. But also, another key part of Jannis' deck is using those lances to stall out the game, and he lost one of those to a green challenge as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
So what's going to happen if Yannick ever wins Worlds? I mean, the Iron Throne is about as close to being his champion card as anything could possibly get.
I suppose. I mean, Jannis has been playing versions of dominance stacks for a while, and he's been doing really well with them. He came in second in Starlight last year, and did he make the cut this year? He did, right? No?
This year, I'm not actually 100% sure.
Me neither. I know he was on something along the lines of this stack. He was playing something like this.
Yeah, he finished 32nd.
Yeah, I thought he did make the cut. And there weren't too many Stag decks in that cut. So obviously it's a testament to Jannis' skill with these decks.
Yeah, it's really interesting because even the Greyjoy deck here was played by a number of players at Stag, and it didn't do particularly great.
No. Leading up to Stag, this deck had seemed to be fairly strong. It didn't win a lot of things, but it did well. But then
the Tyrell box really seemed to kind of put it back.
I think
it's doing
so.
Much of what it does with superior characters in many ways.
I think so. Yeah. So now we can actually see a little bit of Jakob's hand. We can't see Jannis' hand, but in the stream you're able to see Jakob's hand. So Jakob does have a few options in his hand. What do you think he's going to go for?
I think for him it'd be quite important to try and get his own Iron Throne down.
Yeah.
So he should try to prioritize getting the support of the people across.
Probably.
Especially now that there is a power on the other side of the table and there's something to truly contend in the power challenge.
Yeah. For the Doharis, he obviously saved Balin with the dupe and all the power on him, but he needs to get some small guy out there to protect against the marched coming up otherwise.
Well, that and potentially look to guard himself against a military challenge.
Sure.
Because depending on what's coming across at him from Yannick's hand, it could be tricky.
It can always be. Like Jannis has a bit of Neil in the stack, quite a lot of Neil actually. It's not hyper Neil, I wouldn't say, but he's got access to some of it.
The Melisandre package.
Yeah.
Now with the Queen's Men's.
He's only playing 2 Melisandres though, so he's not going all in on that. But it's definitely something he's utilizing. It's probably a lot, like you were saying earlier when we talked about this. It's really strong against Greyjoy. They don't have any stand really outside of Asha.
But it's that really interesting dynamic. I mean, it's something that we saw all the way back in the core set.
Yeah.
Where Greyjoy rampaged in the kind of early competitions, and then Baratheon realized they can just kneel them all out.
Yep.
And in many ways, Greyjoy kind of swings back and forth based on how much Baratheon is bouncing around.
Pretty much
now
so.
That everybody's decided that Baratheon isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, and I think that could be some of the reason why, or at least a part of it, why Jannis has been doing well, because people aren't attacking against any of his cards really. Outside of just obviously Targaryen being naturally good against Baratheon.
Yeah, well, here we have the reliance on locations is something the Greyjoy deck is built to punish.
Yep, definitely.
And as I said, support the people is going to be powering through.
But Jannis has an answer here. Jakob is going to have to let him draw cards here, I suppose. And yeah, he lets Jannis draw 2 cards, which is, it's less than optimal.
Yeah, Words of Wind is a really interesting card because it's one that Yannick has been driving almost solo kind of against much of the player base.
Yeah, I don't see it from much other players at all. So now Jakob obviously picks his Siren Throne as well to sort of halt Jannis's power gain. because obviously Jakob is afraid of losing Balin eventually. There's so many resets in Jannis' Stag.
Yeah, he's about to lose 2 unopposed challenges, including the power.
Yep.
And then draw dominance.
Yeah, it would say no. Jakob will actually win dominance. No draw, because he will leave 1 green blood up.
Yeah. He's taking some damage to the hand. It's actually interesting to see him kind of being dragged all the way back down to 6 cards after having played Counting Coppers and only really getting 2 characters out on the board.
Yeah. I think Jakob will probably try to get to play Littlefinger next turn, or maybe play the Begging Brother with some coin on it to stop the Neil from Melisandre for a few turns.
Yeah, but even with that, we'll have to see what comes across, because right now he seems to be losing board position.
Yep.
And that Isle of Ravens coming in, even if you run jumps out, the Chamber of the Painted Table is not going to be in play anymore.
No, yeah. I think Isle of Raven is also, it's just a one-off in Jannis' deck, but I think it's also what's enabling him to play so many other one-offs, because he can stall out the game enough to actually draw into 1 or 2 offs, and if he loses cards that are one-offs but key to him, he has that second chance with Isle of Ravens, and he can just shuffle them back in. He's only playing the 1 Gaston Grey, and he's only playing the 1 Flea Bottom, like we talked about. So this way, with Isle of Ravens, I think he can quite consistently recur whatever he needs from his discard pile.
It's interesting, though, to see the Davos discard, because, again, his deck doesn't actually have a mass of military icons.
No.
And we've seen a few of those decks kind of bouncing around that have the heavy reset theme, but can sometimes struggle to draw their own military icons to put themselves over the top in terms of pressure on the opponent.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting discard it is. He does have Vengeance for Elia. Again, only a one-off. But he does have things to punish whenever there's red claim coming against him. But
ideally,
keep
want to
pressure
keep your
up.
opponent honest.
Yeah. No, but yeah, to keep that pressure you talked about, to be able to maintain pressure after the resets. So that is the Begging Brother with some coin on it.
All the gold.
Yeah, all the gold, and that doesn't really surprise me.
Begging?
Yeah,
I mean, that's an Iron Bank brother if I ever seen one.
Yeah, has to have some. It's probably not a Begging Brother as much as a Benedictine order or something closer to the Pope. Anyway, it makes sense because he wants to protect against the Neil here.
Queen's Man, what a card.
Yeah. Do you lose 2 gold off of the Begging Brother to protect against both triggers here?
You probably do. I mean, you piled the gold on there, so might as well use it. Because there's a decent chance the Begging Brother will, in some ways, not make it.
Yeah, he did. So both the Neil and the hand control. And he wants to protect that little finger in his hand, I suppose.
He'd probably also want to not lose a power challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
And he's got good options for it because he's already played Support the People.
Mm-hmm.
So he could just throw the cheeky Iron Island Fishmonger across the way and have him backed by all the Iron Fleet Scouts.
Yep, and he's got another Support of the People in his hand. So he could bring out some interesting location. Let's see what he's got. He's got... he could get some more Fleet Scouts, of course, but I think he might go for either a Sea Betch or Iron Mines. Maybe some.
It's fascinating to see, like as the game has progressed, the fact that they aren't playing the Seastone Chair anymore. Because you'd think with that much Support the People, like it should be an option.
Yeah, I guess. But again, with Seastone Chair, you need to get unopposed in red, and if you're going to try to push through a challenge to get it on a post. I don't think red is the challenge you're going for, is it? I think usually try to get your blue. You prioritize your blue challenge, don't you? Certainly.
Yeah, right. I still have traumatized memories from early in the game, where sometimes you just get locked up by a sea-stone chair.
Yep. Yeah. So Hand's Judgment to cancel his Wiper Eyes. That's pretty good. Protect that hand, and then for some reason he killed the Queensman. Why would he kill the Queensman rather than the Greenblood, do you think?
I think it's to keep more of his options open in terms of winning dominance. Because he can still throw the intrigue across unopposed.
Right.
And then depending on what's knelt out for the power challenge,
he
can look to trump the other guys. Or at least not lose dominance.
Right. And also maybe just shuffle it in with either Ravens in able to marshal it again. Queensmen only trigger when you marshal it. You can't trigger it with Flea Bottom. So you have to actually draw into them. He's got 3 of them in his deck, obviously, but...
well, Isle of Ravens can't shuffle them back in from the dead pile.
Oh, right. No, they can't. Yeah, silly me.
Well, you did.
Yep.
So it's actually interesting to see him being so cautious with Balon here.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to want to go all out, but he knows that Jannis has got some things to punish him with if he attacks too much. But again, he's got to know he's a little bit on the clock here.
Yeah, you can see that hand dipping down. It's really kind of like a dripping down life total for his deck, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Especially having already played counting coppers.
Yeah. I can only assume that he's going to play Littlefinger next turn. That is, of course, if he gets to keep Littlefinger in his hand.
The King commands it as well as an interesting plot choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I suppose in this matchup, he knows he's not going to get any real value on when to play it.
No. It's just there for the money now. In order to be able to play that Begging Brother with full gold. And here we get the first reset. But then the Begging Brother. I think Jannis must have forgot about the Begging Brother. Yeah, that's a pity because that's a dead Varys, isn't it?
Well, no, I think you just remove him from play and have it cancelled.
Yeah.
So that way the Varys stays alive.
Yeah, makes sense.
And he is playing all 3 Varyses, so...
Yeah, he is.
Maybe he has some nightmares for the Begging Brother?
Well, we saw a nightmare from we saw the nightmares from Jakob. So he nightmared Varys, and that's why Varys is dead.
Aha, man! This internet speed.
Yeah, there's a really nice play, but then again, Jannis does play close call, so he just put his Varys back into the discard pile. Boom. And that's Varys shuffled into the deck again. But we're one loss of the giant down. And that's interesting. He's playing 3 of those, obviously. So there will be a few more to come.
It's mad actually to see the power of that card when you're able to play 3 Last of the Giants with barely any neutral characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just there for Varys, pretty much.
Yeah. And I think here we're kind of seeing a bit of a gamble with the first snow. Because it's going to reset so much of his board, but I think he's a little desperate to get his own Begging Brother working.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. I mean, yeah, makes a lot of sense. He can still protect from the kneel here or the hand, because he's.
I think he protects from the kneel because the hand is going to get refilled with the characters coming back from the first now.
Oh well, I guess, but then he loses.
He wouldn't want to lose the little finger.
Exactly, he loses the. No, he can't. They just non-character cards.
Okay.
So Littlefinger's pretty safe, but he would lose his Risen from the Sea there. And he protects against a kneel. And then, it's got a big, chunky Silence Crew there, already with 2 gold in it. So it's strong and, looking mighty fine.
So much money.
Yeah. And that's a dead Melisandre if ever I saw one.
Well, are we not going to be looking at a Vengeance here?
Maybe. If he's got it. We can't see Jannis's hand, so we don't know really. So Jannis blanks Balin. Makes sense to slow things down a little bit. Jakob is playing really well here.
Yeah. So he's staying cautious. He's pacing himself. Yeah.
I'm impressed. I thought for sure that this was going to be a really horrible matchup for Jakob, but he seems to be doing pretty fine.
Yeah, but in many ways also, this kind of control deck keeps losing until it doesn't.
Yeah, that's correct.
One of the best descriptions I heard for these kind of decks was from James Walmsley.
Mm-hmm.
Or Wama, as most of internet knows him, where he was saying that decks like this can win most of the time, but when they lose, they look like they could never win.
Yeah, that's very accurate. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Jannis has been playing this for a while, and he's been in this sort of situation before. So he's also, I guess, pacing himself. I can't see him panicking, really.
That's an odd military challenge. I suppose he's trying to protect himself against Ario, because there is the 5 gold sitting on the other side of the board.
Yeah. But even so, that would make it so that he would only have to kill Ario in that case. And that is... Vengeance for Ilya.
It's a handy discard in the flea bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Pillage decks, guys. It is the future. I mean, it's a horrible dystopian future in which Annals continues to rule the land, but a future nevertheless. Yeah, and it's fascinating seeing only the 1 flea bottom in Jannis' deck.
This is scary because now Jakob played. Jakob discarded the dupe of Balin. I guess he's baiting Jannis to play Valar Morghulis next turn, but that will lose him 3.
Yeah, is it really baiting when your opponent gets full value on it?
Exactly. And he's also got a Balin in his hand, which would give him a dead card in hand as well. Which seems awful.
Because his hand has been seen, we know there is no Arisen.
No, yeah, he lost Arisen. Obviously, Jannis doesn't know that. So he makes Jannis go first, obviously. But this is really horrible for Jakob as well.
I mean, he's technically winning,
I guess, but it's 5-6, and Jannis does have way better econ. Well, way better, but quite better. Or maybe it's about even, I suppose.
Yeah, it is interesting though to see with Flea Bottom, because in many ways, like, it was yet another instance of people telling us how it's going to be the worst thing ever and it's going to destroy the game.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, what we're seeing time and again is decks adding it in as a spicy option, but
Right.
not necessarily one that the decks are built around. And this is
Right.
where the price of that first snow really comes in. Fair enough. It
Yeah.
gave him a turn to try and do something on the board, but
Mhm.
getting both those green bloods is
Yeah.
now just letting him filter through so much of his deck.
Yeah. Also, the Queensman coming back there. There's nothing in Jakob's hand except for that Arrow Mine, but still, I bet he won that Arrow Mine earlier.
I mean, this is a game that's going to go past plot 7.
Right. Almost certainly. That at least that's the game plan that Jannis is on. He's stalling it out, and he's actually keeping up with Jakob. He's at 5-6 here, so even though it did look a little bit steep for Jannis there for a while, he's coming back here.
Yeah. What can he actually play from here? Because he doesn't have an awful lot of gold.
Jakob,
I mean, he's got, yeah.
he's got 5 gold and he's got some reduction. He could get.
I suppose there's no power icons on the other side of the table, which is definitely a pleasant sight.
Yeah, but he could get that Indian Stony Shore guy that might actually remove some of those locations of Jannis's side, but I don't think they can't discard limited locations, right? Or can they?
They just kneel them.
They just kneel the location, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like a pay for. Yeah, right. That's not very good. That's not very good.
I mean, it's still decent. It's a handy addition on top of the Lord's Fort ship, right?
Right.
Because it keeps the pressure on, keeps it honest.
Yeah.
But this is something that we saw kind of from the very birth of the game again, is that the Iron Throne kneeling doesn't change its functionality.
Not much. Of course, once we see the painted table in play again, it's crucial to be able to kneel it. But yeah.
Look at this website protesting the cheeky use of tourney grounds. What is going on? This is anarchy. I mean, it was bad enough when you explained to me we're going to Hackerland to witness this game being played, but now there's no more action windows, there's no more dead piles, there's nothing to believe in.
Well, Jakob is being the gentleman here, and he's not going to complain.
What's happening? Why are the challenges over?
I'm not sure if it was a misclick from. Yeah, it was a misclick from Jakob. He didn't mean to stop challenges, and Jannis noticed and asked as well. Exactly, they're doing it manually instead. Yeah, Jakob thought they were in pre-challenge mood, and he clicked no action, which means that he passed. He passed. So that happens sometimes on the Iron Throne because it's sometimes you're not paying attention to actually what you're passing.
Yeah, they're gonna have to be a bit careful to actually keep the power correctly maintained here.
Yeah, you can do it manually.
Technically won dominance.
Yeah, no, you can. Yeah, they're correcting the power tool. Yeah.
Well, they're not really, because he still gained the +1 power from the unopposed power on top of the dominance. He should have just kept his power at 7.
I don't think there was a dominance power here, was it? Yeah, it was. Jakob got the power there.
Let's see if we can do a bit of a citizen's arrest.
Yeah, I'm on it. So hopefully they will be able to sort that out. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
Seems like
so we have Jannis in a rather superior board position here.
Yeah.
He has his
And
military
that's
icon on the table. He's got the intrigue
yeah, and that's
down.
all from Jakob playing that cheeky first snow and getting himself into this mess where he lost to his own military challenge, really, Vengeance for Ilya, and had to take the dupe off of Balin. And that's, yeah. With the Balin in hand, or maybe he drew into that later, because I would have probably not taken the dupe off of Balin. I would have probably rather have Balin marched and then be able to play that card in hand rather than have him killed. I don't think
he seems to be trying to find a decent time to play his Valor, just make sure he doesn't get pinned.
Yeah.
Trying to get rid of all the green bloods before anything happens to push them through a potential flea bottom at some point.
Right. Which is a really good idea. Like I said, Jakob is playing really patiently here. Quite impressively.
So, annals.
Yeah.
Since we have it up in here, I suppose
Right.
it's something that will need to be talked about at some point.
It is, and it's interesting. I mean, I understand the complaining because it's, I guess, it does have merit, but again, I think it's important to have all kinds of decks being viable, at least at like. You want metas to shift in a LCG, and you want at least at some times you want to have combo decks being viable, and then you need these sort of plots to sort of facilitate that. And then you have countermeasures. I'm not sure I'm completely against annals like so many others seem to be.
Yeah, we still have the question of why people aren't playing the counterplots. I mean, Forgotten Plans is still sitting out there. We even have the official alt art trying to make it all beautified, and yet nobody seems to be stepping up to get much mileage out of it.
Right. So I think there are cards that sometimes are really bad for games, especially in the LCGs. That is a problem because of slow rotation. But at least I don't think that Annals is there. Not right now, anyway.
Yeah, we also have. I mean, the one thing it does allow us is an undisputed villain for this game. I mean, in the books and show, I mean, we have the Mountain That Rides. That is. The sole most villainous heart of the show. So now we get Alexander Hines to be loathed by the majority of the player base. Right.
So
if you're listening, Alex, it's all your fault.
Apparently. So Jakob is at dire straits here still. He's only got 3 cards in hand, and one of those cards are dead anyway, and one is an Econ card, and he's going to have to face some military coming his way here. So this is a really poor situation for him.
I'm not sure one military can really stretch as far as some.
Well, I was thinking over a few turns because Jakob doesn't have any military icons in hand right now. So that little Lancer can actually be killing a guy each turn until Jakob finds some countermeasure, and now he's down to only 1 card, and that he lost that as well. So yeah, It's not a
Man,
very
seen
good
in
position.
flames as well. His
Yeah.
hand is getting shredded.
Yeah, there's
Like
no hand
Superman
left.
preparing for an IRS visit. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Nothing left. And having even that reducer being killed, perhaps? No, he just went for the power challenge instead. I think it's going to be hard for Jakob. He's going to have to top deck some pretty awesome cards now. He actually gets to keep the reducer, which is pretty important because Jannis still hasn't played Marched. Jannis is running Marched, isn't he? Yeah, he is.
He has to be. I mean,
Yeah,
isn't that
he
like
is.
some kind of legal obligation for
I think so.
Martell decks?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, they can sometimes stretch themselves to not play too much, but other than that,
even that is like a bit sweaty. All right, so let's see what Jakob managed to top deck here, because that's really where it's at right now. So confiscation, not doing much into Marched, and losing that reducer to Marched isn't going to do much difference. And he draws, and we'll have to wait a little bit for the delay so that we can see what he drew. Maybe we'll see before that because he's marshalling now.
something huge.
Oh, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. Victarion. Vengeance is still in the discard pile. And we get to kneel maybe some Econ. Maybe
But
the Isle
even
of
so,
Ravens.
even kneeling any of it,
Yeah.
there's infinite money on the other side.
Yep. No, yeah. I'm thinking maybe you want to kneel Isle of Ravens at this point.
I don't know. The water garden is still. I suppose
Yeah.
just reset.
Right.
So the water garden is doing nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And there comes another one. Green Blood Trader.
Yep.
Ever since winning the very first tournament at Worlds.
Yep. And
been such
there we
major
have
part of
a
the game.
duped table of the painted painted table.
It's okay. The fans of the show know what you mean.
Yeah. Long day. And Lancer to reduce.
Oh, come on. Let him keep some power.
Oh, and Gas and Grey, yes, to top it off. That's really nasty.
So Victarion is not having a great day right now.
No, not really. So he's just standing and defending then, I suppose?
I mean, you can defend the power, which is probably relevant right now.
Yeah. But
or the military to give himself a shot at powering something through, kneeling out Gaston Grey next turn.
Yep.
Save yourself.
Yeah. So it's gonna have to defend that.
I mean, after this, there is no power challenge coming. So
He's gonna have to defend that. Maybe he's afraid of Ario. No, he can't be. There's no flea bottom out, and so he's just defending that.
So are we expecting Yannick to go straight into Valor here?
Maybe.
Because the Greyjoy deck really relies on a few big characters.
Yep.
And once you lock those down, the options shrink dramatically.
Yeah. Valor is absolutely an option here for Jannis. Very little downside for him to play it right now. Maybe. Yeah, he locked the March though for another 6 turns. I don't know.
Are we just trying to make sure that enough Americans get to see this game?
Maybe that could be
Keep it rotating through the block deck another time.
Could be. So that's the painted table doing its it's bidding. Uh,
Hoovering up power, like it's Luigi's mansion in here.
yeah,
Horrifying.
and now Jannis is actually closing in because he's at 10 now. And for some reason, he didn't feel like Crescent was going to be the one card to balance the scales in this matchup.
Yeah, nothing much to heal. No bodyguards on the other side.
No.
I mean, Crescent's still got mad flexibility, but
yeah,
not always spectacular relevance.
No, especially not in this sort of game. Bus is doing something with the stream here. I'm not sure really what he's trying to get going, but we'll try to keep you updated on what's happening in the game. Oh, the stream is back up. So Jakob is actually going second mostly now, whenever he wins initiative at least. And then Melisandre is back in the game.
This is horrible.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty. It's going to be hard to keep your spirits lifted.
But I think the deck does that really well. One thing that the Martell deck does is it creates such an incredible tableau with all the locations, because the pattern of those is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
I remember a year ago I was tricked into playing Melee at Worlds, and then just seeing all the Martell locations stretching out for days makes you feel you're doing something productive.
All right. Yeah. And there she is, Melisandre kneeling down. Poor Victorian, and Queen's Men coming in to actually not going to be relevant here because there's nothing to discard from that hand. And Jakob has drawn into some interesting cards here. He does have somehow a fairly... If he could just find enough money to play that duped Victorian. But then again, we've got 2 resets coming up as well.
Yeah, it's funny seeing location destruction still fall somewhat behind what I would be expecting from it.
Yeah.
Because I think political disaster has been very relevant through the second half of the year and hasn't been played nearly in line with the relevance.
Not at all. Not at all. People keep complaining that Greyjoy is the only deck that can control locations when everyone can play really within just one plot a decent location control.
But I mean, like, we've had Darren Hazelden take Blackwater this year,
right?
With political disaster being a relatively heavy part of the game plan.
Yep.
And locations have only escalated since.
Right. For sure. So Jakob is playing a lot of that hand to get Victorian out there and have some protection, but
Duke Euron.
Yeah, but then Vala Dohaeris.
Vala Dohaeris.
It's yeah.
He doesn't have the worst time after Vala Dohaeris. I mean, like, fair enough. He loses Victarion, but he still gets to keep a board of 3 characters,
right?
All of whom are very relevant.
Right. Right.
He gets to keep a power icon. He gets to keep something back to Neil Gaston.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Or apparently not Neil Gaston.
Well, he can do it in Jannis's marshalling.
Yeah,
no, Jannis is first player. Sorry, Jannis is first player. He kept it to make what? I don't know. Throw a cheeky green challenge.
I object.
This is weird. It's really
Is he
weird.
still longing for an opportunity to use his reins?
I guess.
You gotta let some dreams go, man. I'll never be a professional skier. I've accepted that.
Yeah. This is interesting. For sure, I thought he'd be kneeling down the Gaston, or at least the painted table.
Is this an elaborate concession?
I doubt it. So he's defending, and I guess he's stealing some econ. Why not? There's nothing else of interest in there.
Is he trying to troubleshoot the Iron Throne? See how high numbers of gold it can actually process?
Yeah, I don't know. And he is indeed throwing that cheeky green challenge across.
No, he's blocking.
Oh, he's blocking it. Yeah, in order not to give on a post. That's pretty relevant because Jannis was at 11, and he wants to actually have a decent shot this turn. Are Jannis flipping into Valar Dohaeris here?
I think he'll just look for anything with decent initiative.
Right.
Like Dohaeris gets a big body off the board.
Yeah.
And he's low enough in the draw pile that he really reaches towards any card.
Yeah, and Dohaeris does have 5 initiatives, so it's decent. But Jakob plays Valar here as well. Well, the other Valar, the old Valar. So Jakob wants to clean off Jannis's board completely and gets to keep Euron.
Yeah, but it's very much a neutered Euron with Gaston still on the table.
Right, exactly. So what did Jakob draw into there? Anything relevant?
Especially with no claim coming back and no ability to shift him off the power total.
Yeah, and both the throne and the painted table is duped. And there is the flea bottom. Yeah. Huh.
In many ways, this is the result we were expecting.
Yeah.
Still doesn't make it any more heartening to see it happen. One cool thing seeing from Valar Dohaeris, actually, because I haven't seen an awful lot of games with it so far, is the assistance it provides for these kind of slower decks.
Yep.
Because not only does it provide the control for them to actually narrow down the board, it also refills their deck.
Right.
Because there have been some of them that have been coming closer and closer to decking themselves and making that a genuine concern.
Well, Jannis is at 15, and he has been using Isle of Ravens fairly consistently. So he, without being able to shuffle things back in his deck, he'd be at least 5, maybe even 7, 8 cards less in his draw deck.
Yeah,
so
and he was at 11 in the start of this turn. So really, like, it's him shoving everything with Valar Dohaeris under his deck.
Yeah. He was pretty close to decking himself. Again, without Isle of Ravens, he would have decked himself. But seeing that Varys, it's going to be trouble. It's going to be trouble, isn't it? Jakob has no way of stopping that as well. And he can't really win this turn because Jakob is only at 4 power. So,
well, the big thing here is that he does open himself up to being able to trigger Reigns this turn.
Yeah.
So once he's able to trigger Reigns, he gets the red wedding option to take out Varys.
Right. Yes. That is a really good lineup play.
So he's got the second player.
Yeah.
He's got it fairly nicely lined up.
Yeah, he has.
The military here is quite annoying.
This is
it narrows
interesting.
him down to one challenge then after the red wedding.
Yeah, this is really interesting actually. Well,
And
I mean,
here we're really
interesting in a very academic sense because he's still at 4 power to Jannis's 13, but there's a line of play at least.
Yeah. Yeah, and here we're seeing the weakness of Littlefinger because he's stuck in a situation where he can't keep Wex back.
No.
To try and boost his strength. Although I suppose going second, the scouts won't get him there. So he has to block the military challenge here. He cannot use Littlefinger to force that through. So then he'll have to use Euron, who'll get gassed on. To try and trigger
it's going to be expensive. It's going
and then
to be
toss the power challenge across.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive.
And he might not be able to afford to do the power challenge because he needs to
we lost the stream here again. Somehow, stream is not showing the table.
Did Buzz have a dropped internet?
Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with Buzz. But
we're
back up
there and joined back up.
Yeah. So
the block had to happen.
Yeah, he had to. And then could he just let 4 against 6? Now he can't force going second. He can't boost his strength enough to get a range trigger without going run.
Sneaky Jannis.
Yeah.
Is it coming?
Almost like Jannis has played this game before.
He's really king of this whole weird internet drones world.
He is. He's been doing really well in the.
But he's been crushing the online leagues forever.
Yeah, he has, and I mean he's doing pretty okay in real tournaments as well. Like we said, he came
the one of them a year that he comes to.
Well, that is the one that matters. It's Starlek, and he did come in second last year with a really nasty Neely dominancy deck. So he knows what he's doing.
So what are Jakob's options here? I mean,
I'm not sure really.
He doesn't have real options, but how does he entertain the fans?
Well, he's got to try to trigger the reigns and kill Varys.
But he's also got to not lose dominance.
Right.
So the list of the things he has to do is
it's pretty long. Yeah. Like he's going to lose dominance if he do this line of play will lose him dominance, isn't it? Or actually, no, it will give him. It could.
I think this is game.
Yeah, it probably is. It depends on which character. If Jannis is defending with the wrong, he's not even defending it. He's leaving it unopposed. Just to shore up the dominance win. He could have blocked it with Varys, obviously.
Because now, even if he kills Varys, which would be incredibly satisfying.
It would be satisfying, but he still lose. And no, what's that? Why are they both being knelt?
Those are the pre-blockers actions.
Oh, all right. Yeah, okay. So I'm jumping a bit ahead here. So now he's actually open to it because they both got the same for dominance. So it's going to be tied dom if he does the reigns trigger, but maybe he can't.
Why is it tied down? He can't trigger it because he only won by 3.
Oh yeah, he couldn't even trigger it, right? Couldn't even trigger it. And now he eats.
Not even by 3, 1 by 2.
Yeah. Right.
So now just the vast tracts of Martell lands scattered around the board.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even give him the dignity of bouncing Euron because he doesn't want him to have anything in hand.
No. And, well, he's got one card in hand. What is that? Huh.
Better be the best card ever.
It better be. I can't see it on the stream.
You watching the stream of us commentating a game, this is some kind of Inception nonsense that they told me would happen on the internet.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's just the times we're living in now, Ben. You have to accept it.
I don't have to accept it. I can just keep living out of a suitcase on a Ryanair flight somewhere.
So, I would really like to see what Jakob drew into. It's like we said, it's pretty academic, but it would be interesting. See if
he has all the money, so we're going to see everything he drew into.
Yeah, right. Most likely.
I knew my locations for money. How much money? Look, just money.
Well, I'm wondering whether or not he drew into any relevant location control or any relevant
location control. There's a million of them there.
Yeah. Well, most importantly, I suppose, is to get rid of that Iron Throne. And if he could just get rid of that Iron Throne, maybe the future would have a slight little light far away that he could crawl towards.
Yeah, look at that Battle of Blackwater doing God's work.
Yeah.
Just as intended, getting rid of Iron Throne Jutes?
Right. Okay. Begging Brother. Not much use here, really. And he is not even putting gold on it, maybe? Maybe not.
He's probably trying to just play everything on a hand.
Yeah.
Try and block Davos somehow. Survive to lose in dominance phase, not in the challenges phase.
And there's the concession. Yeah, he didn't draw anything relevant. So that's it. And it did go the way we thought from looking at the deck lists. It's a really poor matchup for Jakob's deck here.
It's cool to see it operate though, and actually seeing a deck kind of go through all of itself.
Yep.
While not actually being all in on Annals and trying to win on the Annals turn every single time.
Not at all. I'd say Jannis has a really resilient deck here. He just waits it out. But Jakob was looking good up until that first snow turn. And then things started going downhill.
I suppose he had to try and find some time to play it. On the bright side, there is a benefit of the online tournaments.
Right.
Not nearly as many people exposing themselves. I'm talking to you, Flea Bottom Fracas.